Good afternoon. Today we are going to learn the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening 3.2, sorry, 3.3. Page number 102. Please open your books. Page number 102. Title of the poem is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Before talking about this poem, we will talk about background of author, poet Robert Lee Frost. In the beginning of the poem, there is a background of personal information about poet has been given. We will learn that. We will study that first. Afterwards, we will talk about poem. Robert Lee Frost, 1874 1963, is a lifespan of the poet. Was an American poet. He is highly regarded for his realistic depiction of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. Colloquial means day-to-day life, language. Day-to-day language. The language which is usually in daily life is called as colloquial speech. He is one of the most popular and critically respected American poets of the 20th century. The present poet is very well known, popular, very famous poet. He received 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. Listen, remember, the poet has received Pulitzer Prize, one of the prestigious awards in the field of literature, and this poet has been awarded 4 times for his masterpieces. In this poem, the poet describes a little incident happening in a snowy evening. As a traveler, the poet is fascinated by the beautiful scenes in the woods. He stops to enjoy, but his mind urges him to go on. In the present poem, the poet describes a little incident which has happened during snowy evening. There is a traveler. He is traveling through the jungle, forest. The poet is fascinated by the beautiful scenes in the woods, and the poet wants to enjoy. Traveler wants to enjoy the scenic beauty of the forest. He stops to enjoy, but his mind urges him to go on, as he has to perform many duties before sleep. Now, I will read stanzas, and after that, line by line, I will explain whole poem. Look at the very first stanza. You can see before the poem there is a picture. A traveler is on horse, and it is a very snowy evening. Everywhere is a whitish environment. Look at the very first stanza. Whose woods these are? I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. In the very opening stanza, a traveler is saying that I am enjoying the forest and I know the owner of the forest. He lives in the village, but the owner cannot see me as I am here in his forest. I am enjoying the scenic beauty, the beauty of the forest. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. In the forest, everywhere there is snow, and the owner of the forest cannot watch me, cannot see me, as I am enjoying the scenic beauty of the forest belong to that person who lives in the village. Now, second number stanza. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Now, I will explain this stanza line by line. My little horse must think it queer As I stopped in the middle of the forest in the very evening time, it's a snowy evening, and my horse might be thinking, very strange. Here, no farmhouse is there. No farmhouse is there. Nothing is there to rest. Then, what will be the reason behind his stop? My owner stopped here. I don't know the reason. I surprised. Now, these are the feelings of horse. Okay. A little horse must think it queer. Queer means strange. To stop without a farmhouse near. Nothing is there to stop. Then also traveler stopped, and the horse is in the state of confusion. Uh, the horse wants to know the reason behind this stop, sudden stop. Traveler stopped between the woods and frozen lake. There is a lake, is frozen, as climate is it is very decreasing continuously. Climate is decreasing continuously. That is why it's a frozen lake. Lake turned frozen between the woods and frozen lake. The darkest evening of the year. Now the darkest evening of the year. 21st December. Remember, 21st December is the darkest evening of the year. Second number stanza is devoted to the horse. What might be the thought thinking about the present stop taken by a traveler? Now, third number stanza. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. Now, I will explain this stanza line by line. He gives his harness bells a shake. Means the horse indicated, instructed, suggested a traveler to ask if there is some mistake. The horse might be thinking that I haven't committed any kind of mistake and there is no farmhouse. Then what will be the reason behind this stop? A traveler stopped here. You know very well. A traveler stopped in the middle of the forest because a traveler wants to enjoy the scenic beauty of the forest. The forest is belong to the person who lives in the village, but the owner of the forest cannot see a traveler as he is enjoying the scenic beauty, a beautiful scenery of the forest. Now, the horse is in the state of confusion. The horse is thinking that whether I have committed mistake or not, because my owner, traveler, has taken a stop in the middle of the forest, and there is a frozen lake also. The only other sound the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. Actually, in the forest there is very very silent forest. No sound is there. There is a reference of sound of harness bells, and sound of wind, easy wind and downy flake. Only three sounds can be heard. Only three sounds can be heard. Very first sound, that is a sound of harness bells of horse, and second number sound, sound of easy wind, and third number sound of downy flake, means snow, falling snow. As snow falls, there is a creation of sound. That sound, there is a reference of three sounds, and there is no other than these three sounds. Okay. Now look at very 4 number stanza. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Robert Frost. Now I will explain this stanza line by line. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. Now woods means forest. Actually wood, wood is a material noun, and material noun cannot be should not be pluralized. We should not write material noun in plural. But if we write material noun in plural form, then the meaning changes. Here, woods. Meaning of the woods is forest. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. Now here, the description of forest. Forests are very wonderful, beautiful, very dark, means intense, deepest. Density of forest, density of trees on a larger scale here in the forest. But everybody wants to enjoy the scenic beauty of the forest, but I have promises to keep. I have promises to keep. I have promised my family members, members of the society, my countrymen, that I am going to perform these kind of particular duties. That is why I cannot stay here. I cannot stay more here, as I have to perform more duties. I have promises to keep, and for fulfilling those promises, I must leave this beautiful place. And miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Here, miles to go before I sleep means before sleeping time, I have to walk more. I have to walk more. That is why there will be darkness, and after darkness, I cannot walk. If there is a darkness, that is why I must leave the place right now. I must go to my home, and lot of distance I have to cover. That is why here this line is used. Miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. And in broader meaning, miles to go before I sleep means before the end of life. That is death. Before death, I have to perform many duties, which will be better for humankind, okay, or the society. That is why I should not stop here. I should leave the place, as I have to perform lot of duties before sleep, means before death in broader term. In a shorter term, before sleep, before going to bed, I have to perform particular duties. That is why I should not stay here. I must leave the place. Okay, the poem is very easy. It's written by very popular poet. Here there is a focus on when we are enjoying the happiness in our life, we should not forget our duties that we have to perform before sleep or before death. If there is a lot of happiness in our life, okay, it's a very good thing, but we should not forget our duties. We must perform those duties first. Okay, you read the poem, you can read the translation of the poem in the guide. You can ask me. It's a very easy poem. Thank you. Take care.